Thing we're going to talk about is dynamic symmetry, are the two types of lines of incidence or coincidence that they like to talk about. To do this, I'm going to draw a square and drag it down in here. And in composition, particularly pictorial composition, there's two types of lines of incidence they like to talk about. The first one, starting in the lower path, the lower left-hand corner, you have ascending to the right-hand corner, the Baroque line. Escape. That's called this line is called the Baroque. It is the right-hand path. It could be theological and it could be political and also artistic. And the left-hand path, ascending from the lower right-hand corner to the upper left-hand corner, is called the Sinister line. It's believed that lines that tend to move to the left, in the left upward direction, create a feeling of tenseness and unease. That's why they call it the Sinister line or the left-hand path, similar to the Jacobeans during the French Revolution. Now, anything that tends to move towards the right we'll call Baroque. And it can be repeated like this several times. And if you get that, we call that the Baroque spiral. And if we start moving to the left, we have a sinister spiral. That creates tension. And the Baroque, with the sinister creates a sort of harmony. Now, to be able to understand the dynamic symmetry a little further, we're going to replace the compass with the AutoCAD. And similar to with we compass on paper, we will strike an arc from one corner to the next corner. And that will give us the golden rectangle or square 2 rectangle. So we draw a line down here, escape, draw a line down here, escape, and draw a line here. Now we have the golden rectangle. That's one of the first things we can use to create our dynamic symmetry. So we've arrived at the golden rectangle, and we can just drag that down there. Okay, now we need to find two center points. The first line of incidence we're going to use is going to be the Baroque. Moving to the upper right-hand corner. And the sinister. Now we have the reciprocal of the Baroque. Going to the center. And the reciprocal of the sinister. Now we can repeat that. And there is the framework. Now, where the things happen is on these points right in there. Now, we're going to have to move on to doing a root 4 rectangle. Now the square root root 2. Again, we'll do the root 2 rectangle. That would be as if we're putting a compass here and striking that way. Now, again, we construct our, this is our root 2. Only I'm going to add a couple more lines this way so we can do it quicker. Now we want a root 3 rectangle. Oops. One more line to add. Okay, now we want a root 3 rectangle. Well, we repeat the process. We take our arc here and strike it from that corner. Now there's a root 3, root 2, root 3, and we'll do a root 4. Whoops, I keep forgetting to put my line in here. Now we got to, so we got 2, 3, do one more. And draw a line. And we could do a root 5. Again. These are each reduced by pi. So let's drag this line down here a little bit. Okay, now we'll find that in anatomy that these are in perfect proportion. The first book we have in that talks about this, I believe it is Polyclitus in the Canon of Human Proportion, and Vitruvius goes into in depth about that. Hence we get Leonardo's Vitruvian Man. 10 Books of Architecture talks about this, using it also in architectural proportion to the human proportion. So we can understand this by taking these lines and we can use these to scale. Particularly useful in anatomy. You can already see the bones of the hands, bones of the feet. And when we measure in anatomy, we measure on the skeleton. We don't measure the fleshy parts, which I'm sure you know. There. Okay. We can apply that to the bones of the foot. So now we have a square 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we can see that same proportion in the bones of the foot. We can see that we have the first bone of the little toe right in here, and halfway through this bone of the foot is a square. Square root is here. The ankle area and the heel.